We tired.
But today, we're going to go ahead and talk Need for Speed 2015. Why is this flicker? Why is my light flickering? So, as you guys may be aware, Need for Speed Payback is literally just around the corner. I think we're like 9 days away from the official release of Need for Speed Payback. And I think around this time is when it's fair enough to say Need for Speed 2015 has ran its course. It served what it needed to serve. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about the life cycle of the game. I'm going to talk about the influence it's had. And I'm going to give my kind of farewell to Need for Speed 2015. A game which I have way too many hours in. I've played way too much of that game. I've enjoyed way too much of that game, and the game had flaws. It had many flaws, and I'm sure a lot of you guys know that it had problems. The game was supposed to have a lot more. If you guys have seen the content video I made a few days ago, you'll know that the game was actually intended to have a lot more in it, and there's a whole bunch of things about the game itself which were, you know, were bugged, broken, or like just not to people's preference. But on top of all of that, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this is the most influential Need for Speed game in the past 8 years. Nothing since Carbon, in my opinion, has been this influential. Now, obviously, we've had games since, like, we've had games that have included new features like Autolog, and we've had games, you know, that have done really well. Like, Upshoot 2010 was an amazing game, but in my opinion, since those games, we have not had something this influential and this kind of game-changing for the series. So I've already explained a million times why I think that is. Now I'm going to talk about what I actually enjoy about the game, because half the time I speak about this game, I'm usually defending it or like speaking about what people are saying about it. I want to talk about what I like about this game, because I don't get to do that an awful lot, and there is a lot I actually like about this game. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. I'm going to go and start off with a weird one, and this is in no particular order, but number one is live service. Although it didn't last very long, admittedly, you know, it only lasted like maybe like four months, I think it was, 5 months. I've got to say the live service and what they added was amazing. Photo mode. How can anyone forget photo mode? Literally opened up a whole kind of branch of content creators. Without that original photo mode, we probably wouldn't have YouTubers like Crown, like Jay, you know, making the content they're making now. Obviously, a lot of them use cinematic tools now and they use mods now, but back in the day, you know, if it wasn't for that original mode, like, and inspiring that original mode, who knows, they might not be making what they're making today. Manual transmission. This is something which I actually really didn't care for, to be honest. I actually really didn't care for manual transmission. To be honest, in Payback, I'm probably not even going to use manual transmission because it's a bit weird. But I've got to say, in 2015, it was something which I actually got really used to, and I kind of liked the addition of. When I was grinding out the maximum attack scores, it was one of those things that using manual actually really helped. Nothing really major, but it kind of goes under the live service kind of category of things I'm talking about. Prestige mode. Speed list, you know, 2 more great updates which added like hours upon hours. Speed list was the birth of Undefeated, pretty much. Obviously I did it before Speed list was a thing, but you know, when Speed list was actually a thing and it was presented itself, it was one of those things that kind of it kind of forced me to like up my game. It made Need for Speed so much more competitive, and it actually gave a reason to play. Now, granted, the netcode wasn't the greatest. Granted, you were doing the same races over and over again, but regardless, the amount of time I spent in that mode again is absurd, and it was one of the biggest things in terms of replay value for me, and one of the main reasons I will still go back to 2015 to this day. Customization, and just the return to customization, the return to underground street racing. Something I've been asking for ever since it left. One of the things which kind of brought me into the series, I started off with Upshoot 2, but then Underground 1 and Underground 2 and Most Wanted were the games where I really started to play a lot. And, you know, the return to customization, the return to, you know, customizing your car and slamming it to the ground and being able to just do all this types of thing and make your car your own is something which I've missed ever since it's left. And I think I can say on behalf of a lot of people that I think that the direction that goes to taking this this series as a whole, with, you know, customization and, you know, just everything really, is exactly what I want. Obviously, a lot of people aren't gonna agree with that, and that's fine, and I completely understand. You know, obviously not to everyone's taste, but to my taste and my personal opinions, I've got to say this is one of the best decisions they've made with the series in the past 10 years. Story. We should talk about that. Wasn't good. It wasn't a good story. It was better. I thought it was better than a lot of what other people said. It wasn't great. But the fact it was in there to begin with is something which I think people gloss over a bit. Yeah, people gloss over the fact that the story before in Rivals was arguably worse. And then Most Wanted didn't even have a story. So, I'm not saying the story itself was good, but the idea of them bringing back story and, you know, in Payback as well, obviously they brought it back to a higher degree, is something which is really interesting. I will say Eddie's Challenge, though, very good story in that. It was very minimal, and it was kind of, it was very, you could tell it was a DLC pack, and it wasn't, you know, an expansion or anything. But Eddie's Challenge also was very good DLC mode. Really enjoyed really enjoyed it. And again, I forgot to mention Ellie's Challenge. Again, another amazing mode which added a few hours of game time in. Not as much as Speedless, not as much as Photo Mode, but regardless, Eddie's Challenge was also a very good DLC, which I completely forgot about until I literally was just talking about this in my head. So yeah, two, again, amazing things which are, again, Need for Speed 2015 essentially. So I could go on about the good things for days and days and days. The rap editor, I haven't talked about that yet. The rap editor was amazing. The updates that came to that were very much needed, but they came along relatively fast, you know, with the mirroring and stuff. But I'm going to move on to some of the bad points now. I'm assuming this is what a lot of people probably want to hear. But to be honest, they're kind of like little gripes which are pretty obvious. I'm only going to skim over these like very quickly. Physics. Again, I'm not going to bother explaining this. I've explained this a million times. You all know what's wrong with the physics. If you haven't played the game, you'll see what's wrong with the physics. I'm sure you can get it for dirt cheap now. The lack of like an actual pause button is something which kind of became a bit of an issue, especially when like there's like an Amazon package at the door and I'm in like a race and I can't pause. This is quite annoying. The lack of customization on select cars, although customization is one of the strongest points for the game, there was a few cars where it was lacking, and I'm not afraid to say that. I do think the lack of paid DLC was also a bad thing. I think that's something which they should definitely do in the future, just purely based on the fact that the game would last longer. But again, these are all small gripes and things which realistically, in the big scheme of things, don't matter too much. I mean, you can get past a lot of this. Overall, I've got to say, Need for Speed 2015 was my game of the year last year, or 2015 I should say. Overall, I've got to say Need for Speed 2015 was my game of 2015. It was the game of the year of that year, and I've got to say overall, I can't explain how big of a leap this is for the series as a whole, and bring on Payback. So let me know what you guys think of 2015 as a farewell. Give it a bit of a farewell comment in the comment section down below if you care to. But that's been it from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you go ahead and hit the like, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. You guys have an awesome day. Stay safe and peace.